Is wealth inequality good? That is a claim reinforced by some institutions, including Prager University. In their video titled Income Inequality is Good, PragerU's John Tamny makes the following claim. Income inequality is good as long as it is the result of a free market economy. Today, I'm going to examine the claim with the goal of maximizing utility for the worst off, or Rawls's difference principle of equality of opportunity with an emphasis on doing so with the end goal of helping those who need the help most. This is the best way to look at the statement or claim because it acknowledges that maybe, to a point, inequality can be good. However, only if it is to the benefit of the poorest in society. First, I will go over the main evidence that supports Tamny's claim and why these points are unimportant or wrong. Then I will go over why we, as a society, should fight economic inequality within the context of a mixed market, and how we can go about doing that. I will leave the link to the PragerU video in the description so you can be sure that I'm not misrepresenting their point. There are 4 main points that Tamny uses to support his claim. First, that wealth inequality helps innovation, which ties in more broadly with inequality being good if it is the result of a free market. This claim is wrong. In fact, the opposite is true. As inequality fell between 1870 and 1977, innovation, as measured by patent filings, increased. Duku Liagos of World Economic Forum explains. Inequality is preventing people with less income and wealth from reaching their potential in terms of education and invention. He adds that there's a decrease in entrepreneurship with higher levels of economic inequality, and goes on to say that when equality increases, the market for new items decreases, hurting companies' incentives to invest in the first place. Furthermore, a study published in the Journal of Economic Growth found that, quote, redistribution from the very rich to the very poor can be beneficial for growth. This evidence shows that decreasing economic inequality has the opposite effect stated in the PragerU video and actually helps innovation. Prager University's second, and notably weaker point, is that forced equality is equivalent to less opportunity to do what makes you great. Less freedom, personal sovereignty, and autonomy. However, this view of economic inequality ignores the opportunity and focuses on the rewards. With less gold at the end of the rainbow and more gold now, will people be less inclined to increase their living standards and therefore be less inclined to contribute to the economy? No. An analysis by Ayers at the Center for American Progress found that social safety nets have a negligible or non-existent impact on work. Furthermore, evidence such as an empirical macroeconomic analysis by Anderson et al. Found that public investment in the poor, or redistribution of wealth, helps to lift individuals out of poverty and benefits the economy as a whole, which contributes to the increased opportunity for individuals to pursue what they love. With that, does reducing inequality limit personal autonomy as stated above? Again, redistribution increases autonomy for the possible violin prodigy who is currently starving, or the next best runner who can't afford transport to track practice. Limited credit among low-income individuals hurts personal sovereignty and the ability to make choices which are out of reach due to wealth inequality. The third point is, in my opinion, and through the values of Rawls, correct. However, the actions prescribed from Prager University's interpretation of the statement are detrimental to our economy and community. Should we resent the rich? No. In fact, we shouldn't resent anyone or anything, as they are products of a social system which evolved throughout our world's history. The resentment of the rich is the same resentment which some people use to resent the poor. Should everyone have equal opportunity? Of course, but if it means less happiness for the least well-off, I must disagree. However, once Tamny and I come to a common understanding, the effects of our beliefs diverge. Tamny asserts that not resenting the rich for working hard is a reason for not addressing the growing economic divide between the rich and the poor. Here we disagree. The social and economic divides between Americans not only hurts the poor, but also our country. As shown earlier, economic inequality stifles innovation. Inequality also hurts the economy, which has permeating negative effects among all people. According to OECD research, quote, reducing economic mobility would boost economic growth, and, quote, the single biggest impact on growth is the widening gap between the lower middle class and poor households compared to the rest of society. The wealth inequality prageru is calling good is the same inequality that contributed to a 6% decrease in GDP growth over a 20-year span. Economic inequality also has detrimental impact on charity and kindness of rich individuals. A study published by Nishi et al. Found that high-income participants gave 30% of an endowment provided to them in the District of Columbia, a location with a high rate of income inequality, and gave more than half, 55%, of that same endowment in the state with the lowest income inequality, Wyoming. It should also be noted that this effect is more pronounced when the endowment is larger. Earlier, I said we shouldn't resent the rich, or anyone for that matter. However, this doesn't mean that the rich deserve their money any more than anyone else. It simply means that resentment in and of itself is insufficient. Finally, Tammany ends the video with the following claim. The 1% Club is always open to new members. This claim relies on the notion of what I assume is intergenerational economic mobility, defined as the ability to move throughout generations up or down in society. Prageru's claim relies on the fact that this mobility is meritocratic and earned. However, this notion is false. 61.75% of the Forbes top 400 billionaires were born with up to $1 million in inheritance, and 21.75% of the Forbes list inherited the amount needed to qualify for the list in the first place. This evidence proves the compounding effect of inherited wealth. Furthermore, the average income of the top 1%, $421,926, requires more than just hard work, but also luck, education, and privilege. The claim of the 1% being up for grabs is one that relies on an understanding of economic mobility, which is not grounded in evidence. With the positive economic, social, and moral benefits of reducing inequality in mind, let's come to a common understanding of policies needed to address this issue. Approaches to redistributing wealth come in a plethora of packages. However, here are some suggestions I have. Lower the minimum wage. Just kidding. Investing more in education by providing free pre-K through 16 public schools and federalizing the U.S. funding for these programs. Investment in education, I believe, would be one of the most cost-effective of these options as it addresses the root of economic inequality. Other suggestions include abolishing regressive taxes, which tax the poor at the same rates as the rich. I go more in depth into this issue in another video. Other ideas include socialized medicine, cheap public housing, heavier investment in food credit programs, universal basic income, a federal jobs guarantee, and a higher CPI-adjusted minimum wage. These programs would also need funding. I recommend a more progressive income tax, a wealth tax, increases in capital gains tax, an increased short-term capital gains tax, and to increase this estate tax. All of these solutions would be a step in the right direction for reducing inequality and therefore increasing societal welfare in America. Thank you for your time. One like many of these other policies, would go a long way.